Mayor Arthur Vigeant is a lifelong Marlborough resident. He's a certified public accountant who has owned his own business for over 30 years. He was first elected to the Marlborough City Council in 1994 and went on to serve 9 terms on the City Council, including serving as City Council President for 9 of his 18 years on the Council. Arthur Vigeant was first elected mayor in 2011 and has been twice re-elected as Marlborough's mayor and is seeking his city record 4th term as mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Arthur Vigeant.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I didn't take my jacket off. Sure would have got me. Now he's going to get everyone that has a jacket on. No, it's great to be back here. Thank you very much for inviting me again this year. It's always fun to come over here, have a great meal, and see some friends I don't see too often. But obviously we've had another exciting year in the city. Everyone continues to work together, so it makes life pretty easy for me and for the other elected officials in the city. And what I'd like to do is kind of just go over some things that we've been successful in the last year, and then I'd love to take some questions, because that's always better anyway. But as I stated, Finance Committee approved our budget last night, so we were kind of happy about that, huh, Margaret?
Yes.
That was nice. We had all our department heads there, but they streamlined it. We were done in about 4 hours, and they did a great job. They shaved us a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. The good thing is, although the budget's high, because we have the high cost of water, water's been going up, bonds, but debt service continues to be up there because of all the projects we're doing, and the health insurance in the city has just really been going up too much, and we'll be renegotiating that in the next contract. We've had made arrangements so we can actually make some changes in health insurance without having to actually sit down and bargain, but have discussions with our unions. With the increase that we put through last night, which was actually a high 4.9%, even with that increase, because of the additional revenues and other sources of revenue we have coming in, we're looking at approximately 2.8, 2.9% increase in your real estate tax bills coming up in November. So we're still able to keep that down as we have the last few years with all the new growth and everything we've had in the city. I continue to concentrate on the parks and playgrounds throughout the city. We've been working on the John Street playground, the Pappas playground down there on John Street. Should be finishing up. We just finished up and opened up our first turf field in the city, so we're really excited about that. The kids are down there playing on it. We're going to get the concession stand done, and I think if you have any kids or grandkids playing down at the Whitcomb School, it's worth taking a ride down and taking a look at it. It came out beautiful, and we're actually going to be starting our second one up in the ball field at the high school. So we're moving right into the next turf field, and again, that revenue comes in from the additional meals tax that was voted on by the council a couple of years ago. It totals about 75 cents on a $100 bill at a restaurant. So it's not that much, but the revenue we generate there is about $750,000 to $800,000 a year. And I'm told that a lot of that comes from the Burger Kings and McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts, believe it or not. But it totals up, it adds up pretty quickly. For those of you that have been watching, we put a little freeze on building, on housing for 6 months. We're hoping to get that opened up again, but we've created about 950 housing units in the last 5 years, mainly from the 2 complexes that are down in the office park, the Talia Corporation and Avalon Bay. But we got a little nervous because there were 16 different proposals that had made it to my office doing additional housing in the city. So the feeling was we needed to take a look, take a breather, see what we need as a city to make us a better place to live, work, and play, and make sure that we're looking at those complexes and creating that type of housing for the city, whether it's high-level condos or single-family homes. We're doing the study right now. Hopefully that gets back to me before the end of June, and we can get the council to support the study that we are doing, and we can move forward and get some more housing going. One of the issues that has faced us in the city here, and as well as everywhere else in the state and throughout the country, has been the opioid crisis, and we continue to concentrate on that. We have a substance abuse committee that's headed up by Kathy Leonard, the former police chief's sister. She's doing a great job bringing programs to the city. It's all about awareness and education. And we brought Jim Wahlberg to the schools last year, or last fall rather. He came in and did a couple different programs, one for the kids, and then we did a program later that night to show his movie, If Only, and it was really a big hit. I was really surprised how the kids paid attention, actually watched the issues that took place in this movie, and it was great to bring that program to the city. We just received a $20,000 grant from Attorney General Healy, and we're going to be putting more programs into the schools. So it's something we do keep our eye on. It's very important to myself and to the city council, but it's going to be a long, drawn-out education process. I'm sure you all remember that when we were in high school, drinking and driving was just common practice. And MAD and SAD came in and tried to educate everyone. And slowly but surely, people started learning that you couldn't be out there drinking and driving. And it's made a big change for the kids today. I think they use designated drivers quite often. And I'm sad to say that I think this is going to be the same thing. It's going to be a very long education process, and hopefully we don't lose too many kids in the meantime, because it's an awful disease. As you know, we've been moving forward the last 5 years. Obviously, we've had an economic development boom in the city. We're up to about 6,000, just over 6,000 jobs that have been created between the big companies like GE Healthcare and Quest Diagnostics, Boston Scientific, Hologic, and we can keep going. A lot of the smaller companies taking 50 and 100,000 square feet with 20 and 30 employees. We don't forget about them. They're the meat and potatoes of the city. The big companies, you know, we've been fortunate with, but we really have to pay attention to the smaller startups and the small operations like we have to make sure they continue to be able to thrive in the city. We had announced a few months ago, and we're going through the fit-up right now, that Whole Foods is going to be moving their corporate headquarters here from Cambridge. They're going in the old digital building and going to be taking about 50,000 square feet and bringing about 200 jobs with them down in Marlborough. And we welcome them with open arms, but I did say when I had the meeting with them that now we need a store. So we're working on that. She said we were on our list, but it would be a couple of years. And I said, I'm a patient guy, just make sure we get a store. We'll find you the location. And obviously the big project right now in town is the Apex Center. I'm sure you've all been down on Route 20 across from the Arcade Plaza, and just a phenomenal 465,000 square foot complex. We're going to have 2 hotels, 4 to 6 restaurants, entertainment facility with rock climbing, K1 cars, swimming facility. It's kind of an entertainment type complex, and it's really exciting, something that the residents obviously can get a lot of use out of, the visitors that are coming to town, and the businesses that are here are going to be utilizing for team building and things. So we're really excited about that. Traffic's been something we've really kept an eye on, because we've got to keep that traffic in that complex. So we're designing it with the traffic experts to keep the traffic inside the complex so it doesn't hinder Route 20, and we'll be making quite a few changes down there for that. I got a bond package through the city council probably about 2 months ago. Largest bond package we've ever sent to the council. It was about $23 million. The good thing about this package was there was a lot of infrastructure and street work in there. I made a commitment to them that the city's going to make a commitment of $5 million a year to just doing street projects, not the infrastructure and sewer projects and everything else. That's going to be in addition to, but we're going to commit $5 million a year to street projects, hopefully getting all the streets reconstructed in a 20-year period. I know it sounds like a long time, but you have to start somewhere. The streets have gone too long that haven't received the attention they probably should have over the years, and you know, there were years that we had some lean budgets and everything else, but the council was very cooperative. The downside to this whole thing is this city is going to be torn up for reconstruction this year. There's going to be projects going from the east to the west, to the north to the south. I mean, East Main Street, Elm Street's going to be finished up. West Hill Road is being finished up. And then we're going to see a lot of side streets also being reconstructed. Donald Lynch Boulevard, I mean, there's projects everywhere. And the thing that we're just putting together right now, if you go on the city website, on our information page right in the front, there's a map of the city that actually is identifying where all the projects are. So you can go on there, take a look at it. It will identify the projects. We just finished up, and we haven't put it on the website yet because we're still working on it. We're tweaking it a little bit. We're going to make that interactive. So when you click on a project, it will give you a small description as to where the project is and what's happening with that. So just to get information out there to the public, and because it's, like I said, it's going to be a year with a lot of construction. We've been very fortunate to get 3 of the MassWorks grants in the last 5 years from the state. The one we're working on right now is the East Main Street project, and the one we just got funded for that we'll be working on later this summer is down the Route 20 in front of the Apex Center, redoing sidewalks down there and making it so traffic does flow well. And we've committed to the people on Glen Street to make sure we're doing Glen Street over with sidewalks and back access to the walking areas back there. So other than that, we haven't done too much. But with that, I'd really like to open it up. I know that you know, you always seem to have questions, and I'm here to answer them. So fire away, Joe.
Ever since I was on the city council, we've been talking about putting a fire station down on the west side. Now with all that new construction going on down there, what's happening with that?
Peter Jewell and I have talked about it quite often. With the approval of the Apex Center, there was an agreement that with their first occupancy permit, which will be coming in the next couple of months, they're going to fund the study for a location for another fire station down on the west side of town. So we've kind of generally have an idea where it should go, but my feeling is to put a couple chiefs in a room, people that know the planning, and try to identify a site and get things started. We're just trying to queue it. We've been trying to stagger things a little bit to keep the debt service reasonable. I mean, we're at a high right now for debt service. We just had our westerly and easterly plants come online. Those were things you were involved with years ago, but the payments have started on those. We just had Assabet. That's costing us $1 million a year for their project over there. Senior Center is online. We're queued up to do a library, and then we're also queued up to do a school, and the fire station should be right after that. So we're going to start working on it later this year as far as identifying a site. If we need to purchase the land for the site, because where we actually ended up with it really isn't feasible for a station. I know that originally it was where, I don't even know if it goes back to Maryland days, when they negotiated where the 99 is.
Right.
We were supposed to get that area there for a station. The fire chief and police chief at the time that 99 wanted to go in, said, it's really not going to work for a station. It's too congested there. So they agreed and negotiated the lot down at the bottom of Glen Street. The only way that works is if we open up Glen Street. If we open up Glen Street, there'll be people chasing me around the city to shoot me. So we're going to try to avoid that at all costs. But we're going to try to identify some sites. The office park is obviously, the way they're building buildings today, we can get on the old deck building, start a campfire in the middle of the floor, and it's not going anywhere. Obviously, the housing down there is what we're really concerned about, but we'll put a few professionals in a room, let them identify a site and move forward on that. Sam?
Yeah, so as it relates to the amount of development over the past several years, my concern is, or question is kind of two-part, having to do with inspectional services and the building commissioner.
Yep.
You've been made, you have a little bit of turnover in that position. I haven't been down there recently, but is it still an interim?
What's that?
Is the building commissioner still an interim guy?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what the plans are to fill that spot. And then secondly, do you contract out like the Apex inspectional services? I can't imagine that office could handle.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple new people in there. I'll be honest with you, we've been having real difficulty filling inspectional services positions. The last two inspectors we hired were experienced contractors. They had done some inspections in the past, but we ended up working with them to get their licenses. We're finding this in many communities where it's one of those professions. It's like the finance people in municipal government right now. Very difficult to find them. We're fortunate we have some good people, but to replace them is difficult. The building department, same thing. To find building commissioners or building inspector has been very difficult. I kind of keep an eye on the MMA, the Mass Municipal website, to see who's looking so I can talk to them to find out what they're getting for responses. Some of the cities have been advertising 2 and 3 times for the same job. To answer the other part about the Apex Center, we actually, I brought Steve Reed back, that was our former building inspector. He has a trailer down there. I brought him back just for that complex. He's down there 3 days a week. He works out of the trailer down there, and that way they're paying for it, but they can get quick turnover on their inspections. So it was important to keep things going. My thing is, I want to get that done as quick as possible, get out of the neighbors' hair and everything, you know, so they don't have to go through the project any longer than necessary. Yes, sir, Dom.
Yes, Mayor. The other night, Marlborough was on the news regarding the water.
Yep.
So maybe you can shine a little light on what the situation is now.
Yep. We had a water treatment plant down on the west side of town. Actually just finished up a renovation on it that went for a few years. And the salt content started getting a little high. So they started treating the salt to lower the salt content. What that did is there's a liner that's on the lead pipes that we run through the system, and somehow there's some kind of barrier that attaches itself to the lead pipes. That barrier, what we were using in the water to lower the salt content, eliminated some of that barrier. So we had our test done in August. We received the results in October. We did 60 tests throughout the city, and 6 of them had elevated levels, so where they were above the acceptable level for the DEP and EPA. We immediately closed down the treatment plant. We started getting all our water from the MWRA, and we notified the 60 people that were tested at that time. Whether they were one that had the high level or not, we notified them. We also had to work with the DEP on doing a joint letter informing the residents. Once we had that letter, we started putting it in the water bills, and through the water bill cycle, we had that notification in there. We retested the water voluntarily in November and again in December. It was kind of advised not to, because they were worried we were going to fail, but we passed all the tests in November and December. And then we did our regular mandatory test in January. Excuse me. Since the August original test, we have not failed again. Right now, we're getting our water from the MWRA. Thank you. We're going to continue doing that until we can identify a chemical that won't eat that barrier away. We've also committed, when I went down with the bond package to the City Council, I committed $5 million. We're going to be borrowing it from the MWRA. There's a program they have. They're giving us interest-free loans to eliminate the lead services in the city. So we're taking that cost on ourselves. There's about 1,200 in the city that are really privately owned lead lines. We can't go in the house, just we're not allowed to do that. But we are going to replace these at our cost. We're not going to do betterments or anything else because we want to get rid of them throughout the city. But that was done a few months ago when we did the bond package.
So
Yeah.
will we continue to purchase water from the MWRCA or whatever, and along with using our water?
We're going to continue using their water until we can get the balance correct, the water balance correct.
So we have 2 treatment plants, one at Milham and...
The one at the Westerly plant, the problem is the salt, I guess from what I understand, Milham has excess salt in it or something. So now you're getting into technical stuff that's Michelle Higgins' area, not mine. But right now, the water is perfect. It's coming from the MWRA. We're not going to use that treatment plant until we have proven levels under control. Yep.
With all the development that's going on in Marlborough, is there a plan for increasing the police force?
Actually, with the budget that I was able to get approved last night, I added 2 police officers in that. So we'll have 2 new cops coming on. The new chief was kind of excited about it. The old chief was saying, how come you didn't give me 2 new cops? But it's good. We got, like I said, 2 new officers coming on. We're going to have to expand. I guess the feeling was, which one do we grab first, because it starts getting expensive. But until we have things finished up down the fire department, we're doing a big reorganization down there. Civil service, I've been working with the legislature on getting that removed from the city of Marlborough. Once we get the vote from the legislature on that, we'll be setting up a test for new firefighters. And it's anticipated that we'll hire anywhere from 8 to 10 new firefighters this calendar year. We have 4 right now at the academy, and we're hoping to do probably 8 to 10 more by the end of the year. Yes?
Any word on the brewery?
Anyone have a brewery they want to open up? Now, we get a little frustrated sometimes because we do have a few good restaurants, but we need more. And one of the other things that's obviously very popular are the breweries. We haven't been able to get a couple more white tablecloth restaurants, and we haven't been able to attract the brewery. So the MDC, we had a meeting about it, and it was like, let's just do an ad, you know? So we put an ad in the Brew Pub magazine. You know, we have license available. We'll work with you. We talk to the license board if it's the right product. They're willing to work with us on it. Brew pubs actually, they kind of have 2 different licenses. If you brew it there, you use a state license and you can open up. If you want a full restaurant and a full bar, then you also need the local license. So we're willing to cooperate with anyone that would like to do something, or we'll try to help them find a location in the city. So, what else? Yes.
So this year marks probably the 8th year anniversary for our International Academy here in Marlborough. To each year we have about 300 to 400 students from China who live here individually and away from family, and each of them represent quite a great consumption power to the market or to the city of Marlborough. I wonder if there are any feedbacks from local business in regards of the students here in Marlborough with China. If any positive feedback would be great encouragement not only for our school, but also for our investors back in China and our recruiting agents in China too.
No, obviously, I'm very familiar with it. I try to get down once, twice a year.
Absolutely.
And you probably see the students walking down to down to Hannaford's or down to the Arcade Plaza down there on a regular basis, which is great during the year, except in the middle of a snowstorm, where you see these kids walking down the street in the middle of the road down. So we're trying to figure out how to get them down there a little safer, but I could tell you, they're going to love the Apex Center once that is opened up. But no, it's one of those great gems that we have in the city. It's one of the facilities that they come and learn our traditions and learn speaking English, and they move on to different universities and finish their education here. And as we've said before to them, hopefully they come back and use their education to work here in the city. And a lot of their families who they have companies and everything else over in China, and we're hoping to get some of those over here. So, what else? Yeah, Pete.
On the same note, there's Hal was telling me that on William Street, there's an incubator that's being partially funded from a Chinese interest. I read about it in the paper about a year ago, and it seems as though it's a good idea to have ties to different parts of the world. Is there something going on with that right now? I haven't heard anything since a year ago when it first got an announcement of the trolley.
Yeah.
It was ribbon cutting and then it.
It's a hurry up and wait. They've had the property on their agreement now for a while, the old Fidelity site down on, our deck site down on William Street, in bringing a number of incubator companies from China to the United States for the purpose of developing business over here. So they have this property on their agreement. They've been working a lot with the state. The governor's been out, the Secretary Ash has been out, and we've been trying to stay on top of it. But working with the Chinese government, I'm sure you know better than I do, but you can't get money out of China unless you go through the government. So they're trying to get the money out so they can buy the building and start with all these incubator companies. So we're kind of excited about it, but they have to do all their governmental stuff before it actually goes through. But we asked about jobs. Are these going to be people coming in from China? And they said, no, actually, there'll be people coming from China to work in these jobs, but for the most part, they want to hire locally because they want to expand their business in the local market. So it's really going to be, there'll be once it does actually happen, my guess is it's going to be pretty exciting. There'll be a lot of write-ups about it. That's it? I'm done, Peg? Thank you very much.